Good morning, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity, Sashi and others and Alok for inviting me to this Saturday morning AI for India Summit. The first thing when I looked at the agenda, I called Sashi and I asked. He said AI diffusion. That's what it was called. And obviously, being a nerd, I was asking him, "We're going to talk about stable diffusion and how to use Gaussian noise to kind of get text and use text and generate image." And he said, no, it's diffusion. It's all English. It's about how to bring AI everywhere. I'm not kidding. It's really what I asked. And, obviously, the first thing that I want to start off by saying, it's liberating and extremely humbling to be an alternate in the industry, coming from Intel. But that said, a lot of the talk this morning really set it up really well for me to be able to share some thoughts in terms of taking AI everywhere to everyone. And I really like the fact that we heard about personas, what's really the value. And more importantly, sometimes when we start to dwell on technologies or state-of-the-art terms, we tend to forget the fabric of our country, the fundamentals of India, what it's about. And I think it got really synthesized very well when Sunil finally brought it up in the last session. And he said it's about value. It's about cost. It's about what you can eke out of whatever we give to our population. And so a lot of my first few minutes that I have, I'm going to dwell more about population scale and inferencing, which is maybe a slightly different mindset from frontier models and large language models and training, which still is very important. One of the key things when I talk about fabric of India that I want to put out here is, for any average one of us Indians who are here, if you were to go buy an automobile, be it a two-wheeler or a car, average person, what's the first question they ask? What's the mileage? They don't ask about how many airbags do I have, or can I do autonomous driving? Can I do self-driving parking? Things like that. What's the mileage? And what can it do for my livelihood? It's not a recreational stuff. It's not about me driving to a vacation every other month and doing things. So I want us to keep that in mind when we're talking about bringing AI to everyone. Obviously, India first and beyond. But if we can crack India, we don't need to go beyond. Literally, right? And I think there's always been this narrative that's talked about, hey, AI has happened in the last decade and we were ready and we are in there. But honestly, I think the professor talked about it in the first session, both Krishnan and Ganesh. This has been there for a while. And in fact, even the welcome note reminded us about, hey, this is not about, I entered my grad school in 91, Carnegie Mellon, and I was asking, what do I do? And it was really reflecting back. That's what I want to say. Back in the 80s, there was machine learning, there was data analytics. And, early 2000, we were talking about, NLP and computer vision. And a lot of this is an evolution. It's not magically dawned on us on Gen AI. And it's important to keep that in mind, that evolution really has a lot of importance in terms of what technology maturity means. And I also heard the BL chairman talk about maturity model. Meaning overnight, you can't just push a technology and take it population scale and expect it to work right off the bat, right? It needs to be able to be reliable. You should be able to do these things. And some of these things, like the popular thing goes, right? You can do whatever you want. It takes 9 months to deliver a baby. So you can do whatever you want magically with technology, but for it to mature, it needs to have certain runway. So we need to keep that in mind. And of course, I don't want to talk about the economics, but the AI industry has a significant boom in front of us. And it's not just Gen AI. It's fundamental data-driven analytics, machine learning, analyzing it, analytics. That's the bedrock. That's the bottom of it. If you can't do that, then Gen AI becomes a little bit more of trying to cross the bridge without doing the fundamentals. So the market, when we look at it, we should certainly give the perspective of it's both the basic AI machine learning stuff, and then you augment that with Gen AI. And of course, Gen AI is opening up things beyond anybody's dream, and guaranteed it won't solve Bangalore traffic. You can be rest assured. It will generate traffic, it won't generate AI. Which is still good for us. Generating data for us is good. So nevertheless, there's a ton of verticals. And we can sit here and take one at a time and go through and pour through all of these verticals. And I'm sure folks here are working on many of these areas. There are a few of my own favorites that I will spend some time on and hopefully trigger some, thoughts and have somebody reach out to Intel and we'll work together on these areas. Clearly, every area you look at, there is a tremendous amount of depth in these verticals for what you can start to do with AI and generative AI, lots of usages. But I don't want to forget the fact that as a technology company and a semiconductor company, I was actually pretty impressed when the BL chairman talked about AI in the resume, and I want to see that, and we are biased to hiring a person. At Intel, we actually like resumes when people say, not I know AI. We like people who can come and tell us, I don't know what to do with AI. Because that's when value really comes in. And the reason I say that is we're also trying to dog food AI within our own engineering. One of the complex engineering fields, like any other engineering field, everyone will say their engineering field is complex, but semiconductor engineering is pretty complex. It's an intersection of many, many domains: electrical, thermal, material science, computer architecture, computer science, data, whole bunch of things. But if the semiconductor industry can use AI, agentic AI, and AI in its own workflow, then we've also cracked a pretty complex use case in itself. So some of those things that we're doing here in Bangalore. So if you're interested, you can certainly, reach out to me on how AI is being used in semiconductor engineering. The reason I brought that up is it's important when you're building a technology to also know what the value of that is, in addition to these verticals, to be able to use them as a way to kind of mature the technology so that it's available for these verticals. And no better place than using it in semiconductor engineering as well. When it comes to India, so I'm going to pivot a little bit. So I kind of boiled this down into 4 big areas. We have lots of those verticals that I showed, but I want to zone in on where India can leapfrog. When I say leapfrog, I biased myself to those verticals that's fraught with lack of technology, or where technology has really not done the breakthrough that it's ought to do at population scale. So that's where the leapfrog part is. The second thing is reach. Still, AI is tier 1 urbanized populations buzzword. We heard HDFC banking expert talk about, at the end of the day, if somebody wants to open an account, they want to talk in simple Hindi, say, how can I open an account and things like that, right? So reach beyond the tier 1 cities. Cost, we are a country that knows how to use the toothpaste to the maximum extent, right? Frugality is in our genes, and we need to use that as a way to show the world how we can do frugal AI better. I keep talking to Professor Kamakoti all the time. This is a discussion he and I have all the time. Let's get frugal AI out there, and what proposals can we do? So that's another one. Innovation's a buzzword, but I think if you can innovate at population scale, then it's magical. So those are the things that I think will allow us to get to scalable, sustainable, cost-sensitive solution. Very important. AI is just a vehicle, but if you can't crack this, it's not going into India and it's not going any beyond. So that's important. And so with that in mind, I kind of put a few of those. One of those that's favorite for me as leapfrog is agriculture. It's a space that's fraught with lack of technology in our country. There are ways we can do it. I want to look at Professor Ganesh and say, I would love to work with problem statements with IITs to go solve this. We're doing this in the US. I'd love to do this in every farm in our country here. And there are ways to do it. And pictures that I've shown this is real solution where Xeons are on tractors, where precision drones are picking up actually plants to do actual places where you can put the pesticide and not spray and pray, and how you can use AIPC to do this and bringing all the solution together. So it's not some random AI-generated images. These are things that we have done, but pains that I can't do it in a farm here more at scale. Education, I think we'll talk a little bit more, and thanks to Sashi and we have Parag here. We are going to get direct to mobile in a laptop, which means if a student wants to learn, they can tune into a TV channel on the laptop and be able to learn without distraction. Imagine no internet, no YouTube. Probably one of the best ways to have undistracted, curated learning. If this can be streamed, and this is on a band that's available for a terrestrial to stream education, and we have it. And thanks to Sashi and Parag, we were able to do this, and we showed this in waves. We're trying to now proliferate more where laptops can have integrated TV tuners. So again, big opportunity in education. Again, education is lots of startups, and I think POC to production, we've seen lots of companies doing content, but there is a focus that needs where AI can be good for teachers and AI can be good for students. There are two different problem statements. And if you've seen the latest video that Andre Karpathy had like last week on this, he's talking about content and what content really means in education for teachers is very different from students. I think we need to think about those. Last one's healthcare, and there's enough technology in healthcare. We have the most sophisticated equipment, diagnostic treatment in every hospital, in every city in India. But I don't think it's serving the 1.4 billion population. What can we do here? And I think we talked about, one of the gentlemen talked about certified doctors, that if this gets certified, then it's really as good as you met the doctor. So there are some really good opportunities here, and we're doing some stuff, as Intel this is talking about diabetic retinopathy. I think it's a popular problem statement for AI and for companies to go work with, and India has got a lot of data on this. So small plug, like I said, it's extremely humbling and liberating for being an alternate as a company in this space, but we know what we are doing here. Intel's been there for multiple decades. We've matured technologies that we have taken to several billion people in over several years. So when it comes to AI and taking AI everywhere, we're not the Ferrari that runs in the Bangalore road. We've got cars of every size and automotive of every size, be it at the edge, be it at the client, at the PC level, be it at the data center and for AI. And we'd love to build the Ferraris too, but there are spaces there and we'll get there. But I don't think there are Ferraris that's needed for everything. So it's not a one size fit all. So I just want to leave with that, saying that we do have those products, but it's important in this session as a summit for us to look at what's scalable processing. What does AI software mean when it comes to being open? How we can reduce the total cost of ownership. Three big things: agentic AI. India loves to throw people and human resources because of our services mindset to solve problem. It's not going to pan out in the next decade. We got to learn to become developing our engineers to have exoskeleton. Like I walk in to do my job, I should have 3 assistants and agents that I walk in with. That's my own engineering assistant. And that's what agentic AI is all about. Inferencing, of course, we talked about it, domain-specific models, small language models. Those are the big ones. And when it comes to ecosystem, I think India is probably the best place to do any technology. We are working with startups. My favorite areas are education and enterprise, because this is where a lot of the technology can really get matured, because it's a very brutal environment in both these places. They're extremes. It's very unforgiving and very demanding. So we're working with startups on these spaces. ISVs, we got lots of companies here building software. We're working with them. We have programs at Intel where we are specifically zoning on AI-driven usages. We talked about personas, what it means, ranging from insurance and legal to gamers and others. Intel's a big proponent of Make in India and ODMs. We're not sitting here and saying we'll build a fab here, but beyond the fab, which is at the pinnacle of semiconductor industry, there is a huge pyramid. You need components, you need device manufacturers, ranging from just simple PCBs to resistors and capacitors and cables and even chassis material. We know how to build automotive and phones, but we can't build a full PC here. We can, but we just need to work with the ODMs and component manufacturers. We're doing a lot of stuff there. We're working with government, both the India Semiconductor Mission as well as Indic LLMs and things like that. With respect to talent, we don't talk much about it, We have programs where we have actually, with the last 3-4 years, taken several million K-12 students through AI program to the point where they have taken in 10th grade public schools. I'm not talking about the elitist schools, the international schools. I'm talking about just run-of-the-mill government public schools that we are teaching AI education. We've gone through more than 5 million. In fact, beginning of this year, we started an AI and entrepreneurship program. Our goal was to get to 1 lakh by the end of the year. We crossed the 1 lakh students who have actually registered and gone through it. And now Atal Tinkering Lab, AIM, they've launched the AI Tinkerpreneur last month with Intel, where students are actually learning AI as well as entrepreneurship together. So there's a lot of things that we're doing in terms of just taking AI, just not with the technology, but in terms of engaging with government, engaging with the startups and ecosystem, driving some of these programs with the manufacturing industry. I think this is a great time to be working on in AI, and I think taking AI in India everywhere, if we don't do it as a group here, as a summit here, it's a shame. And I hope we stand here next year talking about great success stories. And thanks for giving me this opportunity.